thrill me.
This show is part of the Thrill Me Podcast Network. Experience more on Facebook and YouTube.
Hey, yo, and welcome to the Review at Rob's show, man. Hope everybody out there is doing great. Been fantastic. Hope everybody out there had a great weekend and had a great week whenever you listened to the show last time, man. Glad you came back to listen to me ramble on about all the latest movie news, talk about what's releasing this week, and then give you a review. There's going to be a metal review this week, man. Checked out the new movie Metal Lords over on the Netflix, so I'm definitely going to be excited to give a spoiler-free review of that later on in this episode. Man, I tell you what, man, since the last time we talked, I've been extremely busy doing absolutely nothing. Let me tell you, man. I guess it's not entirely true. I've started dieting now as I'm getting ready for HHN. I'm starting to, diet, want to lose some weight so I can ride some things and, get the legs ready for all the walking because Halloween Horror Nights involves a lot of walking, man. And I did pretty good last year, did better than I normally did. But, we can always get better and strive to be better, man. So I started doing that. And other than that, man, just watched some movies. I got with my brother over the weekend. We watched some movies. We watched The Righteous Gemstones. Finished up season 2 of that. Remember, I was on the first season. No big deal. I was looking good, man. I was looking good in the episode. Nah, I digress. Anyways, finished up season 2 of The Righteous Gemstones. What a freaking fantastic show that is, man. Such an absolute, amazing, incredible time from start to finish. Such a good show. Check it out. Highly recommend checking out that show if you have the HBO Max, which you should get because HBO Max, a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of stuff coming for HBO Max as well. The new season, or part 2, I really don't know how to describe it as. I'm assuming it's season 2 of Cursed Films has hit Shudder as well. First episode was The Wizard of Oz. Unfortunately, wasn't able to finish that whole episode yet. I got about halfway through, and riveting, entertaining stuff, man. It's some crazy things went on set of that movie, and things have really weird going on with The Wizard of Oz, and that's what I love. Shudder, man. Shudder is probably my favorite streaming service. If I ever got asked the question, hey man, you can only have one streaming service for the rest of your life, I think I'm gonna go Shudder. I mean, like I said, I mentioned earlier, HBO Max is cool. Peacock's really cool. It's got the WWE stuff on there, so that's very tempting. But man, Shudder is just nonstop horror. You got some awesome documentaries. Shudder may be the way to go. As I punch my mic there, just then. Sorry for the ear punch you just got, but it happens, man. We get twisted on the show. We get a little metal. Like I said, we're gonna be talking metal later on in this episode. Speaking of metal, speaking of my brother earlier, he dropped a new episode, The Metal Groove, which you can now find on the Throw Me Podcast Network. Hunter's Podcast, they dropped a brand new episode as well. You got me here, and then you've got Mr. Wonderful dropping his episode, and you've got, which Mr. Wonderful, I believe, is doing not to talk out of turn here, but I believe he is doing a Sonic 2 review, which Sonic 2 had a fantastic weekend. They made over $70 million in this opening weekend, so go ahead, you little blue hedgehog, man. You're killing it over there. It's awesome, which I love. I'm glad. I didn't make it to the movies. I talked about it last episode. Wasn't planning on going out to the theaters to see either one of those movies, but I did see a movie that released over the weekend. We're going to talk about that later. But, I'm glad Sonic's having success. I grew up playing the Sonic games on Sega, and, it's awesome to see Sonic doing well. And especially if it's Jim Carrey's last movie, it's good to see that movie's doing pretty good itself. Which, a little bit of news here before we jump into the episode. The team behind Sonic said if Jim Carrey does in fact retire, they will not be recasting Dr. Robotnik. So good on him for that, man. It's always good to see some loyalty in a world that doesn't have a whole lot of loyalty in it. But we're going to talk about the other stuff I watched later on after I get to the review portion, as we can now jump into the news. And the biggest thing that happened news-wise since the last time we spoke is that the merger has officially happened. Discovery has completed its acquisition, yeah, of Warner Media from AT&T, which is birthing the new company Warner Bros. Discovery. Warner Media, of course, has HBO, HBO Max, Warner Brothers, of course, DC Films, New Line Cinema, The House that Freddy Built, yeah, TBS, TNT, True TV, Cartoon Network, those things as well. They own part of the CW network with Paramount. As for Discovery, that's of course the Discovery Channel, Discovery Plus, Food Network, TLC, right? Not the music group. The Travel Channel, Oprah Winfrey Network, man, Animal Planet, Science Channel, all that stuff. So that's coming together into one, and it will now be known as Warner Brothers Discovery. We've seen executives leaving and going back and forth. We'll see how this eventually all folds out, but I'm excited, man. I'm ready to see some new things going on over there, new things in charge, and see where, things build out with the DC universe. This is a big deal. We've heard rumblings and rumors about the new people coming in, want to restore the Snyderverse. We'll see it when it happens. We'll see where they end up going. Heard rumors and rumblings about that Flash movie is still very true to the Snyderverse. So we'll see what happens, man. See some things that are going on. Of course, it's all uh, rumors and innuendos, if you will. Nothing confirmed by any means whatsoever of what's happening. But, obviously DC is a big thing over there at Warner Brothers. And now that you got these new people in charge, I'm sure they want to get the DC thing going. And then, of course, you got all the other stuff at Warner Brothers. You got the Wizarding World. You got the freaking Conjuring universe, man. A lot of stuff over there going on. I can't wait to see what this merger brings. I'm pretty much assuming it will come just like one app, kind of like with Disney Plus, Disney Plus, which, by the way, I watched something on Disney Plus. I can talk about that in a second. But Disney Plus, it's got all this stuff on there. It's got what is it? It's not Discovery, it's National Geographic or whatever. They got that on there. So maybe that's how maybe HBO Max gets Discovery. I don't know, dude. They'll figure that out. But it's exciting stuff, man. It's very interesting, and like I said, I can't wait to see what this brings to the forefront of the things that they can do over there as they've now merged together into one power group. But yeah, man, speaking of Disney Plus, checked out the first episode of Moon Knight. And, I enjoyed it. Found it pretty entertaining. I'm confused as all get out. Like, let's not be, let's not hide it here. Like, I don't know fully what's going on. I don't know much about the Moon Knight character. I didn't deep dive into it. I didn't read the comic books or anything like that. Just watching the show, man. And that's kind of how I do with a lot of stuff. I don't really, never really read the comic books or anything like that. I just dive into the stuff, and maybe that's why I don't hate it as much as other people. But at the same time, I have more of an open mind than other people, I guess. But I did check out the first episode of Moon Knight. I did enjoy it. It is a bit confusing, but it's the first episode. I'm sure they will explain this. Things go on. There's 2 episodes out now. They release episodes weekly, kind of like what the Curse Films thing is doing on Shudder. It's kind of what Disney Plus has been doing. They did that with the other Marvel shows and everything. So hold on tight for that one. I think it's 6 episodes. Maybe wrong about that, but you want to watch it weekly, go ahead. It's fine. I waited a couple weeks before jumping into it. Now I have, and I got 1 episode in the bank, and now I gotta, watch the other one. But enjoyed it so far. We'll see how it goes. Hawkeye is probably still my favorite show of the Marvel shows. Just really enjoyed that one a lot, and see where that ends up going, without a doubt. But yeah, Moon Knight, definitely worth checking out if you get the Disney Plus. But speaking of streaming services, and speaking of shows, the biggest of all the streaming shows, I said it, and I will stand by it. Stranger Things, man. We got some Stranger Things news that broke today as they're recording this episode, and that is that the season 4 trailer will be out tomorrow. So that's Tuesday. I don't know when you're listening to this episode, but the new trailer is going to be out, and the new trailer is going to be out with a reaction from Zach from Hunter's podcast, Zach Speakeasy, which is also on the 3 Podcast Network. Just realized I didn't say that earlier. Sorry, Zach. But I get talking, I get rambling on. You know me, you love me. But yeah, he's gonna do a reaction to that trailer on our YouTube, man. Make sure you follow our YouTube, give it a like, give it a subscribe, help us grow, man. But yeah, that'll be a reaction to that. I'm gonna be losing my mind at work for sure because I love the Stranger Things. I can't wait to see what this trailer is gonna bring us. And remember, the season's coming. We're getting very close. We're getting close. It will be in 2 volumes, with the first one starting off in May. On the 27th, and then the second volume will start about 5 weeks later on July 1st. So Season's going to be broken down into 2 volumes, and we'll have 9 episodes, man. But so stoked and excited about this. Been waiting for some Stranger Things. This show is going to be friggin' incredible, and man, so ready for that, and just seeing what it could bring. Still got my fingers crossed for some Stranger Things at Halloween Horror Nights this year. Probably unlikely. Probably get freaking Blind Manor or whatever, which is fine. I'll still go through the house, but I'm not, overly ecstatic about that possibility. But hey, I haven't looked at the speculation maps. I don't know anything that's going on, but I will, have a good time in Halloween Horror Nights because I always do. But I'm always hoping for Stranger Things, maybe Fear Street, man. But we'll see what happens when they announce it, because that's the only time I pay attention is when Universal themselves announce it, because that's what matters to me. I don't need background stuff. I don't need people with their speculation maps, just like I don't need the dirt sheets with the wrestling stuff. I can wait till it's announced. I'm good. I'm not in that much of a hurry. I'm gonna go to Halloween Horror Nights anyways. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The speculation maps and all that, I can just wait for sure. Yeah. Moving from one streaming service to another streaming service to another one, we got the Peacock, man. We got some news today. This got me really excited, man. Casper, the Friendly Ghost, is getting a live action series over at Peacock that is said to be darker on the family friendly tale, darker spin that we're getting. According to Deadline, quote, Casper the Friendly Ghost is coming back to television in a brand new incarnation reminiscent of Riverdale's darker interpretation of the Archie comics. So you know what that means, kids. Casper is going to be freaking shirtless teenager making out with other shirtless teenagers. The Riverdale effect, man. All ghosts are shirtless. I mean, yeah, mostly. Sometimes, yeah, I guess. I don't know. Shut up. Anyways, speaking of, I need to get back on the Riverdale thing. Peacock is developing Casper, a live-action horror adventure series which reimagines the origin of Casper in a coming-of-age story that explores what it means to be alive. When a new family arrives in the small town of Eternal Falls, Casper finds himself entangled in a mystery and uncovering dark secrets that have been buried for over 100 years. Whoa, dude, I'm stoked. I'm so excited for this, man. I've always been like a Casper fan. Like I grew up. I mean, that movie came out, 1995, in the middle of me growing up. And freaking loved that movie to death. Watched it over and over again. I remember having the VHS and playing it over and over again. Of course, you already know how much I love Christina Ricci. And, I just loved that movie so much and watched it anytime. And even to this day, if it's on, like freaking A, dude, I'm watching it. Of course, now we live in a world of like streaming services, so I gotta find it. I think it's on something right now. I really don't know what it's on right now. It's on Hulu. If you got Hulu, it's on Hulu right now. But so excited about that, man. I've always loved Casper, and even going, Casper had video games, and I remember having Casper toys, and I remember having like Casper cups, and I had like a Casper freaking Happy Meal thing. If you remember, they did a movie called Casper Meets Wendy, and they released like lunch and all that stuff. And I remember the ad for it the first time it came out. I saw it on Disney Channel because Lizzie McGuire was blown up at the time, and Hilary Duff is in Casper Meets Wendy. It might have been her first acting role. Probably wrong about that. But I remember the commercial on Lizzie McGuire. You've seen her as Lizzie, now see her as Wendy. Casper Meets Wendy and all that stuff. Man, I love me some Casper, dude. So I'm excited that that's coming back. They're taking a darker approach to it, so maybe, hey, fingers crossed. Halloween Horror Nights house at one point in time. Peacock, Universal. Hey, give it to me, man. I want this to happen. It sounds good. I'm excited. Give me this show ASAP. I'm in for it. They're taking a darker approach. They said they're going to change the origin story, I believe. If I remember correctly, the origin story was a little boy sadly passed away when he was snowboarding. Not snowboarding. It's not snowboarding. I guess snowboarding. Not really snowboarding. Like what the hell is that thing called? Sledding, snowboarding. Close enough, man. Close enough. Sledding. So let's see what they're gonna do with the origin story this time around. Darker approach into it, man. And I joked about Riverdale. I like that show. Obviously, need to pick up back on it. I enjoy it every time I watch it, but there's just so much stuff I gotta watch. I just keep forgetting to watch it. And I've been talking about starting Supernatural, and just that's what 1,600 seasons I gotta go through with that too, man. Jesus. Let's see, a feature-length family movie based around the iconic costume and prop store Spirit Halloween is apparently happening. This is billed as a family kids adventure movie. The project has an amazing cast already, dude. Freaking Christopher Lloyd, you know him from Back to the Future, Doc, dude, and She's All That star, and even more important, Josie and the Pussycat star, Rachel Lee Cook, which, by the way, as they're recording this episode, happy anniversary to one of my all-time favorite films, Josie and the Pussycats. Just an absolutely great, freaking fun time, man. Love that movie. I love that soundtrack. Have that soundtrack downloaded. I listen to it almost all the time. Fantastic freaking soundtrack. As well, today also has another happy anniversary for another film that I'm a huge fan of. Completely opposite of that is House of a Thousand Corpses. That lets you know my range of movies, man. House of a Thousand Corpses, Josie and the Pussycats, love both of them. Love both their soundtracks. Just a little glimpse into who I am. But yes, Rachel Lee Cook and Christopher Lloyd will be starring in this, as well as some new faces. Now, when a new Spirit Halloween store appears in a deserted strip mall, 3 middle school friends who think they've outgrown trick-or-treating make a dare to spend the night locked inside the store on Halloween night. But they soon find out that the store is haunted by an angry, evil spirit who has possessed the creepy animatronic characters. The kids embark on a thrilling and spooky adventure in order to survive the night and avoid becoming possessed themselves. Filming has already wrapped for the Spirit Halloween and is expected to release sometime in October of 2022. That means October this year, which makes sense since you're doing Spirit Halloween, and you know. So it sounds fun. I'm into it. Again, Back to the Future is one of my all-time favorite movies, so obviously I love Doc. Christopher Lloyd's awesome. I love Rachel Lee Cook. She's great. So I'm glad, to see that. Definitely gonna be watching this. Sounds like a good time. Surprised it's a feature-length family movie. I don't believe it said what it'll be on. So I'm assuming it's hitting theaters. So interesting choice, but I will be interested in seeing it for sure. It's got ABC Family written all over it, right? Or what's it called now? Freeform. Just showed my age. I called it ABC Family. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see where that ends up going. I didn't see anything in the article about where it said it'll end up going. I mean, feature length film, so obviously I'm assuming it's hitting theaters, but we shall see as the time goes on. I'm sure Mr. Wonderful will be talking about that as well on his show, so maybe he's got a little more updates on that news. Let's dive into some casting news, man. We got a lot of casting news here. Starting off with Brie Larson, Captain Marvel herself, has joined the cast of Fast and Furious 10. We already know how I feel about these Fast and Furious movies, but they're adding star power to these movies as it is. I will not be surprised anyway whatsoever if Brie Larson ends up playing a character that's related to Paul Walker's character. I don't remember his name. Again, I don't care about the Fast and Furious franchise. Just being completely honest with you, I don't enjoy it. I watched the newest one the other day. I'm like, all right, whatever, man. At this point, it's just getting through them. But yeah, I mean, more power to her. She seems happy to be part of the cast. Finn seems happy to have her as part of the cast. He's doing anything he can to replace The Rock, which I get it. And you got to get a lot of star power to replace The Rock, man. You can't just replace him easily. So, I kid. I'm happy for Brie. Brie's great. And cool. Moving forward. Other casting news. Walker Scobell. You may not have heard of him. Maybe you did have heard of him. He was in the Adam Project recently, which hit Netflix, which I did a review for. I did a Flixit episode for that on my Patreon. Which was like his first movie. That was like his first, that was his film debut. He has now been cast in the lead role of the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series that will be coming to Disney Plus. The live-action show tells the fantastical tale of a 12-year-old modern demigod who's just coming to terms with his newfound supernatural powers when the sky god Zeus accuses him of stealing his master lightning bolts. Now, Percy must trek across America to find it and restore order to Olympus. Cool, fine, interesting. I haven't seen any of the other. I know there's a couple movies that starred Alexandra Daddario. I don't know much about the Percy Jackson franchise, but good on Disney for continuing that going. I know it is very well loved and enjoyed by people, so good luck to him. I'll probably end up checking it out if the trailer interests me. Let's see. Other casting news. Will Ferrell has joined Margot Robbie in Warner Brothers' upcoming live-action Barbie movie, which is, of course, based on Mattel's iconic toy doll. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the upcoming film is said to have a meta aspect to it, with Will Ferrell portraying the CEO of a toy company, which we can assume is the Mattel company. Maybe they create another company. But cool. This freaking Barbie movie, man. This thing is happening, huh? This thing is really happening. Margot Robbie, love her. One of my favorite actresses. She's amazing as Harley Quinn. So I'm sure she's going to do great playing the role of Barbie, but I don't understand what this movie is. But with that said, I will see it. Let's see, other casting news. Disney Plus, again, they have a National Treasure series coming, and they will be having a familiar face returning. It is not Nicolas Cage, though. Remember, talked about that a couple weeks ago or on a previous episode that Nicolas Cage has not been asked about it. However, Justin Bartha is returning to reprise his role as Riley Poole in the National Treasure series. This is, of course, an expansion of the film franchise and centers on a young hero by the name of Jess, a brilliant and resourceful dreamer who embarks on the adventure of a lifetime to uncover the truth about her family's mysterious past and save a lost Pan-American treasure. You know, I kind of feel like they're keeping Nicolas Cage at bay here. They're not announcing it yet. He's probably like the dad or the grandfather of this Jess. You know, because if I remember the National Treasure movies, it was a family thing, right? Father, son were both treasure hunters. I wouldn't be surprised here. But good on their Justin Barth there being able to reprise his role as Riley. Let's see, Carrie Elwes, however you want to pronounce it. You may know him from, mini films. Robin Hood Men in Tights, Days of Thunder, Saw, Princess Bride, countless films. He was also in Stranger Things Season 3. He has joined the cast of another Netflix thing, but it's a sci-fi film this time that he's joining by the name of Rebel Moon, which is, of course, from Zack Snyder, the Oscars' favorite director, according to fan votes. The Princess Bride star, Carrie Elwes, will play the king of the Galactic Empire in the film, so, of course, he's going to be very royal, and he's going to be over the top, and I'm going to love it. The film is set in a peaceful colony on the edge of the galaxy that finds itself threatened by the armies of the tyrannical Regent Balisarius. They dispatch a young woman with a mysterious past to seek out warriors from neighboring planets to help them take a stand against the tyrant. This is described as a fantasy epic, and it is Rebel Moon. It's coming from Zack Snyder, so expect some interesting stuff. And, I was already interested, but it's starring one of my favorite actresses, my mummy, Sophia Boutella, is the star of this thing. I'm freaking in, dude. In for this. All right, it already sounds cool. You tell me Sophia Boutella is going to be in it? Are you kidding me? My mummy is going to be in it. She was also freaking in Star Trek Beyond as Jayla. Amazing. She's also in a Michael Jackson video. She's done a lot of stuff. She's awesome. She's amazing. She's one of my favorites. Again, she's my mummy, and I'm happy she's in it. All right. Let's see. HBO Max is currently in early development on 2 series that will be tied to the Sherlock Holmes universe, specifically. Jesus, struggle to say that word just then. The Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes series. The report notes that Robert Downey Jr. and his wife Susan Downey will be executive producers for the project. As well, a third Sherlock Holmes film has been in the works for more than 10 years. The film was expected to come out back in December of 2021. However, of course, with the stupidity that was COVID-19, it has been delayed indefinitely, but both Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law are set to return for the third film when it is ready for release. Cool. Into it. I enjoyed both of those movies. 2 series. I'm interested to see how that goes. And this is on HBO Max, and this is, of course, like I said, this is related to the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes stuff, as opposed to Netflix, who's doing the Enola Holmes, starring Millie Bobby Brown and Henry Cavill. So a lot of Sherlock Holmes family stuff going on, across the streaming universe. Into it, excited, bring it on. Let's see, director Mark Mollet has been set to direct Beverly Hills Cop 4, dude. Eddie Murphy is expected to reprise his role as Aqua Foley, with Netflix on board to distribute and Jerry Bruckheimer back to produce. Beverly Hills Cop 4 is still in development and no production start date has been set. Netflix had no comment on the hire at the time. I have not seen a Beverly Hills Cop film in a long time. I enjoyed the first one, obviously. I don't remember 2 all that much, and then 3 was the one that took place in the theme park, right? Or the theme park, the fake Disney. I guess that was okay. I think as a young kid, I was like, hey, this is cool. They're in a theme park. I haven't seen that movie in a while. It might be pretty horrible. I don't know. But like I said, I like it. I'm glad Eddie Murphy's back. I'm glad it's not like a full-on reboot. Um, which I don't care if they rebooted it. That'd be fun too. But Beverly Hills Cop 4, that's interesting. That's interesting. See Eddie Murphy back out there killing it, in that role. Bring it on, dude. Bring it on. And maybe it'll lead to a reboot. Maybe he has like a kid in this movie, and then in the next film, Beverly Hills Cop 5, it's his kid. That's how those action movies really work, right? It's like, hey, we're gonna reboot it, but we're gonna requel it instead, and we're gonna make it the child of the star before. Yeah. Anyways, Beverly Hills Cop 4 seems like it's gonna happen. I feel like they've been talking about this for a while though. But going to Netflix, that helps. Let's see. Mark Wahlberg news. Interesting. While doing press for his film Father Stew, which we'll be talking about later, Mark Wahlberg hinted at a new approach for making movies, saying, quote, I feel like this is the starting of a new chapter for me in that now doing things like this with real substance can help people. I definitely want to focus on making more. I wouldn't say necessarily just faith-based content, but things that will help people. Hopefully this movie will open a door for not only myself, but for lots of other people in Hollywood to make more meaningful content. So that's interesting. We're going to talk about that movie Father Stew a little bit later in the episode, but I've been kind of hard. I don't hate Mark Wahlberg. I think he's fun. I love Rockstar. I think Rockstar's a really fun movie. But for the most part, Mark Wahlberg's kind of always seems like he's the same in a lot of his films, and I kind of get tired of that. Again, I don't dislike him, but this is interesting. I am kind of interested in this movie because again, this is kind of a little different. I think he's still playing a hard-nosed person. We'll check that out when we get to the synopsis of that film later. But cool. Sounds like he wants to do certain different kind of movies, and here for it, man. Be nice to see Mark Wahlberg, branching out now that he's been an actor for, as long as he's been. But I mean, he's had other roles. I mentioned Rockstar. He did Fear. That was a bit different. Trying to think of any other ones. It's always the hard ass freaking cop or action hero or whatever he is. Yeah, Boston accent, all that stuff. Typically the same stuff over and over from Mark Wahlberg. But like I said, Rockstar, fun, Fear, interesting movie. But yeah, let's go. And this segue just sucks. This is not going to be the best. Oh my god, this not. We're going from a movie about faith-based preacher content to, a movie based around a group of friends making a porno. X, we got some news on X here. Will be available to rent this week on April 14th, 2022. And as an added bonus for $20, if you tune in to the A24 screening room on Tuesday, April 12th, so tomorrow, or whenever you're listening to this, you'll get to see a never before seen cut of the Farmer's Daughter film within the film, and another exclusive surprise. Guess what? Not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'll save that for one day. But I loved X, man. X is a top tier film for me this year, and I don't know if it's anything's going to be able to, we'll see. We still got a lot of time left on this year. There's a movie coming out this week I'm super stoked and excited about. We still got Jurassic World Dominion coming later this year, so definitely some films coming, man, but my list of films for the year that I haven't even started to make yet fully. Yeah, I mean, 1 and 2 seems pretty locked right now with the Batman, and X marks the spot. So we'll see how things end up going there. But like I said, hopefully you're listening to this early before this happens because it is happening on April 12th. $20 screening room. X, fantastic movie. I'm glad it's going to be rentable. I can't wait till it's buyable because I'm buying that ASAP, man. Going from X to my number one film of the year so far, The Batman, will also be releasing this week on HBO Max. Starting April 18th, The Batman will finally be hitting HBO Max. The television channel, instead of the streaming service, it'll start airing there on April 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This, of course, lines up with the previous statement that the major films from this company, Warner Brothers, will be streaming 45 days later. I can't wait, man. I'm so excited to see The Batman again. I can't stop thinking about that movie. I love that movie. I love the soundtrack. I love the score. Everything about that movie is incredible. So I can't wait to be able to just watch it again. I saw it 2 times in theaters. Can't wait to just sit there and watch it probably weekly on HBO Max because I'm probably exaggerating. Probably not, man. That movie's so freaking good. So excited for that. Staying in the HBO Max world, and you know what? DC realm, man. Mandatory DC time. We're going into DC news. We just talked about the Batman. Let's keep the DC going with HBO Max now adding another live action DC series to its upcoming slate. The series will be serving as an origin story for Jackson Hyde, also known as Aqualad. Variety reports that the series is based on the 2020 graphic novel You Brought Me the Ocean. That book cast Jake Hyde as the landlocked teenager living in New Mexico, coming to terms with his father's death, his sexuality, and his strange fascination with the ocean. There have been no casting and no writers announced for the series yet. It is also unclear whether the series is connected to the DCEU and the Aquaman films by James Wan. However, Variety reports that Charlize Theron will executive produce the show. Into it, I love DC. I'm gonna watch whatever they give me, except for Aquaman 2 for obvious reasons. Speaking of, that trial's happening this week, and I hope justice served. That freaking control yourself, woosah, woosah. I like how she tried to release a statement just mere days before the trial went on, saying she still had love for Johnny. No, you fucking don't. Woosah. Calm it. Review it, Rob. Calm it down. Calm it down. Keep it calm. Hopefully justice is served this week. That's all I'm saying. And how fitting would it be to be served this week when Fantastic Beasts comes out? Nonetheless, moving forward, according to a recent report from Rolling Stone, it was noted that DC had been developing a standalone film for Deadshot starring Will Smith. However, it noted that the film has been put on the back burner and has been put on the back burner long before the infamous slap that happened at the Oscars where Will Smith was 100% in the wrong. The report mentions that the reason for the film's pause in development stemmed from Will Smith's asking price for the film. According to Rolling Stone, Smith was asking for a lot of money for the film. And he pretty much priced himself out of there being a film. Now, again, we've got the merger just happened with Discovery and Warner Media. We'll see what ends up happening going forward. Will Smith projects have been pushed on the back burner. A lot of people are talking about Ezra Miller right now, but Will Smith stuff has been put on the back burner as well. Which, again, I still love Ezra. I hope he gets the help he deserves and needs because he's a fantastic actor and he needs the help. And Will's getting help for his issues and all that stuff. A Deadshot film would be good. He was awesome. He's one of the good parts of that 2016 movie, which I don't hate that movie. The Suicide Squad movie. I don't hate that movie at all. I find it enjoyable. Is it amazing? No. But it's still a good time. If they end up doing a Deadshot film in the future, we'll see if Will Smith's attached to it or not. We have to see where where everything ends up going. He was just banned from the Oscars for 10 years, so he got a slap on the wrist, essentially, for, his actions. But nonetheless, I'm not talking about that. I'm sick of hearing about it, and we're just moving forward. Let's see. Is that the DC news? All right, that's DC news. We now go into Horrorland. David Cronenberg, who of course, Scanners, Videodrome, The Frickin' Fly, he is on his way back with a new sci-fi horror project titled Crimes of the Future that will began filming actually last summer with Kristen Stewart and Viggo Mortensen starring. Is expected to be a wild film by all intents and purposes and reviews, actually. As according to World of Real, there have been some screenings for international programmers at a festival before a festival debut ends up happening, which will probably be like the Cannes Festival or whatever. But it hasn't yet. Of course, it hasn't been confirmed. But an anonymous person reported to that site the following quote: "I cannot say much, obviously, but if people thought Crash was divisive back in the day, back in 1996, this is going to create way more chaos and controversy for sure. The last 20 minutes are a very tough sit. I expect walkouts, faintings, and real panic. I almost had one myself. I promise." End the film. Oh, Jesus. So this movie sounds like it's rough. Let's go ahead and go into the synopsis here. Let's see. In the film, Saul Tenser is a beloved performance artist who has embraced accelerated evolution syndrome, sprouting new and unexpected organs in his body. Along with his partner Caprice, Tenser has turned the removal of these organs into a spectacle for his loyal followers to marvel at in real-time theater. But with both the government and a strange subculture taking note, Tinser is forced to consider what would be his most shocking performance of all. This sounds like a bizarro land freaking puppet theater. I love puppet theater. What an amazing house! Probably definitely my favorite house last year. This sounds like a body horror movie, without a doubt. So be prepared for that. And the last 20 minutes are rough, according to one viewer. They got to see one of the screenings, so yeah. Kristen Stewart's in it. She's been fantastic lately. She's becoming, somebody that I can trust with movies. So we're not mentioning Twilight, which I haven't watched Twilight films, so I can't fully judge there. But she's had a good career since Twilight, just like Rob Pattinson has. And we'll see it, man. I'll definitely be checking out. It sounds ridiculous, so I'm definitely gonna check that out. Let's see. The Hollywood Reporter is reporting that James Wan's Atomic Monster has linked up with Truly Original, who did like the Ink Master show, for a series of unscripted projects, with several currently in the works. The Hollywood Reporter details that, quote, the two companies are said to have multiple projects in various stages of development in a number of different unscripted genres. So, like, unscripted means like reality television, which we know reality television is kind of scripted as well. But interesting. I believe there's a show. I don't know if Truly Originals behind this or not, but there's like the show called Face Off or whatever, when they did the horror makeup or the special effects makeup and all that stuff, which was a really cool show. So maybe this is like something in that same vein with James Wan attached. James Wan, of course, has a history with horror movies and everything, so we'll see where that ends up going. But yeah, I'm interested, man. I like James Wan. Hate that I can't watch Aquaman 2, but that's not his fault. Let's see. Jeffrey Dean Morgan has a new film coming out that's being described as Super 8 meets Child's Play. Holy hell. You know me, I love Child's Play and Super 8. Actually, I really enjoy that movie. Charlie and his best friend Jimmy are making a film and dream of becoming big-time Hollywood directors. When Charlie's father finds an old ventriloquist doll named Felix among his late mother's belongings, Charlie and Jimmy cast the doll as the creepy antagonist. Through a chain of increasingly sinister and disturbing events, the family discovers that Felix has a mind of his own, and it's up to Charlie and Jimmy to rid their family of an ominous force. Dude, that sounds entertaining. Like, I grew up with that kind of horror, if you will, because, obviously the first horror film I was ever introduced to was Child's Play. Probably Child's Play 2, if, I had to sit down and really think about it. And, of course, you know me, I love Chucky to death, and another part of my learning of spooky and scary things was Goosebumps, and with Goosebumps you had Slappy, the ventriloquist doll, and then of course it's Dead Silence with the ventriloquist doll and all that stuff. Dolls and horror have always been like a perfect marriage, because dolls creep people out, man, and I get it. I can understand it. And this sounds like a fun, interesting idea for sure. So can't wait to see that. Let's see. HBO Max will be having the Final Destination, the sixth one. Final Destination 6 is headed to HBO Max with John Watts, who of course did Spider-Man, No Way Home, Cop Car. He's aboard as a producer with his wife, because they're both big fans of the franchise, and they said they are hoping to bring the franchise back to its roots. Final Destination was an interesting film series for sure. I kind of had the effect of, we gotta top ourselves over and over again. They've had some interesting deaths in those films as they went on, but cool, man. I'm glad that should be fun. I guess another Final Destination movie. We'll see what they end up doing there. As seeing somebody that's a huge fan of the franchise, stepping in and working on it, and we saw how good Spider-Man: No Way Home is. So, and I've heard good things about Cop Car. I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things. So, cool. It's headed to HBO Max, and when more information comes out, I will be glad to talk about it here. And let's see, that does it with the horror news. So the last bit of news here is actually some video game news before I jump into what's releasing this week. And that video game news is that Kingdom Hearts 4 has officially been announced. It was announced during Kingdom Hearts 20th anniversary celebration. As well, they announced a new mobile title called Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. Kingdom Hearts, that is the video game franchise as Final Fantasy meets Disney, from what I understand. I've seen the videos of the game. I was very interested in playing the game at one point in time, and it seemed like every time I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go get it and play it, they like released a new version, like 2.5 or 2.3 or something like that. And it just seemed like they kept doing that over and over again. I was just finally like, F it. I don't know which game to get. I'm freaking lost here. There's like 15 games. I'm like, I don't know, man. So I haven't officially played them or anything. They seem interesting. They seem fine for Disney fans. I'm sure it's a great time. But there you go, man. Kingdom Hearts 4 is happening, and fingers crossed it doesn't take 20 years to release, because I believe they've had a hard time releasing games as well. Like, I believe Kingdom Hearts 3 took a long time to come out, if I'm not mistaken. One of the games took a while to. Anyways, speaking of stuff that's releasing, let's jump into things that are released this week. Kicking off with the big film that releases this week, the movie I can't wait to see in theaters. That is Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. Is PG-13 adventure fantasy, 2 hours and 22 minutes. Nice. And it is in theaters. Professor Albus Dumbledore knows the powerful dark wizard Gellert Grindelwald is moving to seize control of the wizarding world. Unable to stop him alone, he entrusts mazoologist Newt Scamander to lead an intrepid team of wizard, witches, and one brave muggle baker on a dangerous mission where they encounter old and new beasts and clash with Grindelwald's growing legion of followers. But with the stakes so high, how long can Dumbledore remain on the sidelines? I love the Wizarding World. We've talked about it. I've talked about it a lot, how I wish Johnny Depp was still in this film. Mads, he's been respectful. Warner paid Johnny Depp all of his salary for the film, so I can't be insanely upset about it. So bring it on, man. Can't wait to see that movie. Hoping to see it Thursday night. Let's see. Father Stu mentioned I would get back to this movie. This movie is going to be rated R. So, all right. It is a drama, 2 hours and 4 minutes. It is in theaters. Father Stu follows Stuart Long, played by Mark Wahlberg, while scraping by as a supermarket clerk. He meets Cameron, a Catholic Sunday school teacher who seems immune to his bad boy charm. So he's still playing a bad boy. Determined to win her over, the longtime agnostic starts going to church to impress her, but surviving a terrible motorcycle accident leaves him wondering if he can use his second chance to help others find their way, leading to the surprising realization that he is meant to be a Catholic priest. Father Stu releases this week. We got Duel, rated R, sci-fi comedy, 1 hour 34 minutes, being limited theater release. Upon receiving a terminal diagnosis, Sarah opts for a cloning procedure to ease her loss of her friends and family. When she makes a sudden and miraculous recovery, her attempts to have her clone decommissioned fail and lead to a court-mandated duel to the death. Now she has 1 year to train her body and mind for the fight of her life. That sounds interesting. Who stars in this movie? That's a wow. Duel. What a weird, interesting movie. Karen Gillian stars in this movie, right on. Aaron Paul, Jesse Eisenberg, Theo James. All right, cool. All right, into it. Interesting. Sounds very interesting, man. Pretty solid week of releases here. Let's see what we got next. Next up, we've got The Cellar. A horror mystery thriller. Yeah. 1 hour, 24 minutes. Wow. Limited theaters and streaming. A woman must confront an ancient and powerful entity after her daughter mysteriously vanishes in the cellar of their new home. This movie, I think, stars Eliza Chippert. The Cellar. Eliza Chippert. She was in freaking House of Wax, right? Which that movie's gotten, yeah, she's in House of Wax. And she was on The Ranch, that's right. Yeah, that movie's gotten like a super cult following. I'm talking about House of Wax. Cellar hasn't even come out yet. But, cool. And then the last thing we got here is Choose or Die. It is a horror mystery thriller as well. Awesome. 1 hour, 24 minutes as well. This one will be on Netflix. Tempted by a chance to win unclaimed prize money, two friends reboot a mysterious 1980s video game and step into a surreal world of next-level terror. Ooh, that sounds interesting. I'm interested in this for sure. And it's on Netflix? Freaking dude, sign me up for sure. And the movie also stars Freddy Krueger himself, also one-time guest on Hunter's podcast, Robert Englund. is the star of this thing, man. He's starring in this Choose or Die, which is hitting Netflix this week. I can't wait to see that, man. That sounds very interesting. That'd probably be my movie of the weekend if it was a Fantastic Beast. But I will definitely end up checking out both this week and have some stuff to talk about next week. But as for now, got a review, maybe a couple of reviews if you're lucky, after this trailer for sure. Hang tight, let me pull up this trailer real quick, and then we're going to get to our review of the week for Metal Lords. I'll be back.
I'm Kevin.
Emily.
Do you like heavy metal at all?
Fuck you!
How do they do it? They suck. There's 3 chords and they still can't get it right.
I guess we'll be seeing you at the Battle of the Bands then.
This is huge for us. This is our moment.
No doubt, no doubt.
It's nothing personal, Emily. It's just you're not consistent with the image we're trying to project. And I say no Yokos.
That was inappropriate.
I completely agree.
I'm talking about you.
If you're gonna be all girls with cellos, this isn't gonna work.
You need me a lot more than I need you.
You're supposed to be his best friend.
Metal is power. Metal is speed. Metal is the key to everything.
Take off the costume, Krusty the Clown.
Cunt!
You can't say that in America.
Dude, man, all right. Welcome back to the show. There's a trailer for Metal Lords, the newest release over there on Netflix. Movie is rated R for nudity, all involving all involving teens, language throughout, drug, alcohol use, sexual references. The movie is a comedy, but definitely has its drama in it. It runs 1 hour 37 minutes, and as I mentioned, it is on the Netflix. It is a Netflix original film. 2 kids want to start a heavy metal band in a high school where exactly 2 kids care about heavy metal. Hunter is a die-hard metal fan who knows his history and shreds. His dream is to win the upcoming Battle of the Bands. He enlists his best friend Kevin to man the drums. But with schoolmates more interested in Bieber than Black Sabbath, finding a bassist is a struggle until Kevin overhears Emily playing her cello. The motley crew must contend with school, parents, hormones, and teen angst while trying to get along long enough for Skullfucker to win the Battle of the Bands. Dude, just reading the synopsis, man. Rotten Tomatoes critic score 61%. Audience score 83%. Hey, and IMDb has it has 6.8 out of 10. Nice. Out of the freaking 5-point realm there, IMDb. Good job. So what did I think of the movie? Dudes, I had an absolute blast with this movie. Like, I had so much fun watching this movie. What a freaking film, dude. Just a good time. Good time. You know me, I love my metal. I mean, I listen to all kinds of music. Camila Cabello's new album came out last time we talked. Been rocking that on the reg. But I do love my metal and rock mostly. Which, by the way, the Camila Cabello album, fantastic, absolutely amazing. She's a great singer. I love it. Anyways, back to the metal. Metal Lords. As you mentioned, there's 2 kids. They're in school. They're buds. They're friends. They've connected with each other. And one of them, diehard metal fan, into it, wants to live the dream, wants to be a rock star, wants to be a metalhead, wants to live that dream, wants to win Battle of the Bands. He's got his buddy there with him, hanging out. They're going to start this journey together, and they're trying to learn metal, and they want to win Battle of the Bands. They're trying to figure this out. They're trying to work all these things out, and all this stuff goes on. It's very much a comedy movie, but it does have its drama elements. It's very well done. Like I mentioned earlier, I had a blast with this movie. I had such a good time watching it from start to finish. And even after finishing the movie, I'm going to get to this a little bit. We watched a couple more movies that deal with like metal. But I wanted to go back and watch this movie again. And I was hoping to watch it again before recording this episode, but ran out of time. work was late. Then Monday Night Raw came on. Things happen. But definitely gonna check it out again, man. Might watch it after recording this episode, even though it's like 1 a.m. right now. But I think the movie's very well done. I like what Netflix is doing, man. I like these original films that they're coming up with. Like this movie is it's a great idea. It's the most original idea in the world. Kids in high school wanting to join a band and win their school talent show and all that stuff. Not necessarily the most original idea in the world, but they make it so fun that like you're not even thinking about stuff like that. Even in the synopsis where they're mentioning the cello thing, immediately my brother and I were like, "Oh, that's like School of Rock," because they had the girl who plays the cello and freaking or did she play cello? She played like stand-up bass or whatever. But they ended up having her be the bass player and all this stuff. And it's like, or cello, it's a bass, yeah. So obviously that screams School of Rock. Like I said, there's been other movies that do like the school kids wanting to be a popular band and all this stuff. But this movie is just so well done and everything. It feels like it does kind of counter and stand apart, especially with the R rating that helps out a lot with making it stand apart a little bit here. But yeah, man, such a good time with this movie. Like I, I figured the crit score wouldn't be high because it's a fun movie, I kid, but not really. But yeah, I mean, the movie is definitely. It could end up being a top 10 film of the year for me. It's just a fun time, and the music's really good. I remember after the movie ended, immediately searching out the freaking soundtrack for the movie, and they play history. They do have mention a lot of metal bands and all that stuff throughout the film and everything. So it's a very well done film. Tom Morello, who's of course the amazing guitar player, Tom Morello, he's a part of the movie. There's some, so you got him in there, and it helps. He knows what he's talking about and all that stuff. Even though Rage Against the Machine, I don't know if you would consider them like I guess there's some form of metal. There's so many forms of metal music out there. I just call it freaking rock, man, or metal. And yeah, dude, check it out. I mean, it's an hour and 37 minutes. It's an absolute blast. I want to see it again. I definitely want to watch it a couple times. It probably will end up being in my top 10 of the year because it's so good. So good, dude. So definitely highly suggest two very enthusiastic thumbs up checking out Metal Lords on Netflix. So like I said, it ended up leading into I was hanging out with my brother when we were watching this, like, hey, what other metal movies are out there? And we remembered a film called Lords of Chaos, starring actually going back to Metal Lords real quick. The cast for the movie, not I mean, it's mostly a bunch of like new people, man. The only person there's probably like maybe two people you recognize in the film, one of which being the drummer. His real name is Jaden Martell. I get this dude confused all the time for Will in Stranger Things because they do look a lot alike, but this kid was actually in the It films. I don't remember his character's name in the It movies. I haven't watched the It movies in a while. Let's see. He was Bill. He played Bill. Of course, Bill and Will. Jesus. He played Bill in the It series, the It films. But he does look like a lot like Will from Stranger Things. But he's in it. He's probably the most recognizable person. The other person you'd recognize, and speaking of Stranger Things, is Brett Gelman, who of course plays Murray in Stranger Things. Can't wait to see him back in season 4. So those are the two most recognizable people. Other than that, it's it's like a new group of kids, man. They all do a really good job, and definitely, yeah, man, good time. So yeah, definitely check that out. So after that, we went to a film called Lords of Chaos, and a completely different feeling movie. It is also a rated R movie, and it stars Rory Culkin, right? Rory Culkin. The movie is like set in 1987. It's about Norwegian black metal. So it's a grisly, it's a sort of disturbing movie for sure. It's got some brutal violence involved in it. Completely different departure from Metal Lords, which is like a fun time, good time movie with some drama involved in it. Like this movie's just freaking brutal. It's not. It's shot like it's a documentary. Basically, I guess the best way to kind of describe it. It's shot like a documentary of a Norwegian black metal band doing their thing. I mean, it's infamous if you follow like the metal scene and all this stuff. You've heard stories of these Norwegian black metal bands, and it's freaking gnarly, dude. And I mean, that's probably like the best way to kind of describe this movie is like the stuff that goes on in it is pretty gnarly. Um, it's it's like a music drama, obviously, is I guess the way you can really describe it. It's it's a wild watch for sure. But that doesn't mean the movie wasn't enjoyable in a way. It's captivatingly interesting because you want to see where things are going. It is. I think it's worth a check out for at least once. Again, like I said, don't go in expecting to be, laughing. There are some laughing bits to it, but it is definitely a drama centering around some grisly stuff, man. So, I wouldn't say it's like full horror, but definitely, I guess, like I said, gnarly, man. It gets gnarly at times, but definitely an enjoyable movie. Looks like Rotten Tomatoes has a critic score of 72% and 61% audience score. So, you know, like I said, if it gets a little more depressing, then the critic score goes up, apparently, from what it seems. And let's see. And then after that, we're like, oh man, what else could we watch? Because we were in full metal mode. And we came across a movie called Deathgasm, which my brother actually saw before, and this is my first time seeing it. And when I goes against my theory, the critic score for this movie is 88%. This movie is considered a horror comedy, and it is a wild freaking movie, but it's so much fun. I had an absolute blast with this movie. It's like it was reminding me at points like yeah, Zombieland, I guess. Definitely Zombieland aspects, definitely Evil Dead aspects of it. It's a horror movie that doesn't take itself seriously. Let's put it that way. It's about like two teenage boys who accidentally summon an evil entity while they're delving into black magic. So complete departure. Like I said, it's a departure from still black magic and all that stuff, but it's a complete departure from like Lords of Chaos, which is so like serious and all that stuff, to this movie where it is like a horror comedy. Like I said, think Evil Dead or those freaking, was it Shaun versus the, what the hell's the name of that movie? Shaun of the Dead. So like those films where it's not like overly serious, man. It's got its gnarliness, it's got its horror. It's a horror comedy, man. And like I said, it's freaking, if you enjoy like Evil Dead or Shaun of the Dead or whatever, films like that, Zombieland, all those things where, I mean, Zombieland is probably a little more serious, but still a horror comedy and it's all aspects. And apparently the audience didn't enjoy this movie, but I had a freaking blast with this. Another movie, like all three movies, maybe not so much Lords of Chaos because I don't dive into black metal all that much, but like even Deathgasm, fucking fantastic name by the way. I looked up that soundtrack after watching it too. I'm like, yeah, dude, let's get these songs, man. And it's on Peacock for free. We ended up renting that shit, man. We got swindled. Freaking A, man. My brother's TV stinks, man. I searched it and they said, oh, you can only rent it. It's not available for any other way. And it's right here. It says it's free on Peacock, man. Got screwed on that one. Anyways, and it's on Peacock, so I'm watching that. I'm about to watch Metal Lords and Deathgasm back to back. Actually, I will do that, but first I gotta watch both Fantastic Beasts films before going into this next one. But overall, fantastic fun films, man. Metal Lords, awesome movie. Deathgasm, awesome, good time movie. They're definitely going to work as back-to-back films to do a double feature of. Lords of Chaos, very serious, very dour, I think is the word. I don't know if dour is the right word there, but I'm looking it up because I feel smart and I want to check, I just want to look it up. I mean, best way to put it, yeah, Lords of Chaos, pretty, ultra serious, some comedy. Metal Lords, Deathgasm, horror comedies, man. Blast from the past, blast, fun, 80s comedy, with like a newer look to them, fun time movies for sure. So yeah, dude, what a freaking trilogy of films to watch. What a trilogy of films, man. Had a great time watching all of them either way, like even with the seriousness of Lords of Chaos, it was still an interesting movie. So yeah, does that do it for this week? And yeah, right at the end, man. That does it, man. That was the news. That was what's releasing this week, and that was 3 reviews right there at the end, man. Check it out. Appreciate you all joining along, listening to me ramble on about the stuff that's happening this week in the movie realm. Hope you all have a fantastic week. If you're checking out, speaking of fantastic, check out Fantastic Beast and The Secrets of Dumbledore hitting theaters this week. If it are, whatever movies is releasing this week, let me know if you check any of them out. I plan on seeing Fantastic Beast and what was that Netflix movie, Choose or Die. Definitely checking those out this week. Talk about those next week. But that does it for this week's episode. As always, I appreciate you all joining along on the ride, man. We're getting very close to episode 100. So excited, man. I can't believe I'm about there. But until then, remember that happiness can be found even in the darkest of times. Wait, hang on. Back up. Thrill Me Podcast Network. Make sure you follow us on Facebook or YouTube. Give us the like, give us a subscribe, share us with your friends, man. We're working, we're growing, becoming a we're a group, we're a unit over here, man. We just love putting our shows out and working together and putting our shows out there, and we love the people who interact with us and enjoy our shows as well. Remember, we got Metal Groove and Hunter's podcast on Mondays, got my show on Tuesday, we've got the Mr. Wonderful show on Wednesday. Jesus, I paused there. Heard a dog bark and I just paused. And then Zach Speakeasy on Thursdays. All fantastic shows. Happy to be a part of this group, man, and just give support us, man. Hopefully, support us on the Facebook, on the YouTube. That's where you'll find us. And yeah, anyways, let's close the show out. Appreciate you all as always, and remember that happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one remembers to turn on the light. Talk to you all next episode.
Thank you for joining me this week. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to get updates on all new episodes. As well, follow me on Twitter at review_it_Rob. Stay tuned for more adventures.